Welcome back to the Docker file options section of the Getting Started with Docker course. In this lesson, we're going to be covering the run command. This is a pretty important command to know. So let's look at our documentation here and look for the run command, which I believe is actually up here. There you go. So run has two forms, which that can be confusing at first. Let's talk about what it does first. Essentially, it runs commands on the image, which creates a new layer for that image. Okay, remember that the copy command and the add command both created new layers or new images, essentially, or new parts of images. Well, that's what the run command does as well. It's a third one that does that. Well, what the run command does is it allows us to call or run commands on our image. So let's just say that this right here was doing C# code. So we copied the HTML folder, let's say it has a CS project in it or a solution file in it, over to this folder right here. Well, maybe next what we do is say run and then do a command to run against it. So for example, we could say, let's do a run .NET build and then our CS proj file and then pass our commands into it. Okay? And that's what this is showing us how to do. So there's two different ways of doing it. One is just do a run, and one is to run and pass in the executable to run, as well as the parameters. This is called the exec form. So what I did down here is the shell command form. So what it's saying is, okay, run. And it's saying, got it, no problem. I'll run essentially either bin/sh-c on Linux, which is what we have, or cmd/s/c on Windows. So it's going to pull up a console window of some kind by default. That's the standard run command. So in our case, it pull up a console and we'd say, okay, .NET build and pass in our CS proj file. And what it would do is it would then build that file, which that'd be quite convenient if we had source code that we were uploading to a container, because then we could run and build that source code, make it run the tests as well. We can do all that command line, or from the command line, so we can do all that in our container build. And then once it's done, we could then copy over the files to a built container, a finalized container. So essentially what we've done right here is the equivalent of opening up this console and typing .NET build and that file name. I'm just putting file name in quotes because it should be like, my project file.csproj or something like that, but in quotes. And then any other commands like -c, -o. I forget all the .NET commands, the build commands. But we could call those, and then once that runs, we close out this file. That's the equivalent of what we're doing right here. Because this -c makes it go away when it's done, or the -s-c. So it's going to run it, get the information back, and close the window. That's what we're doing with this first run, and that's the first form. Now sometimes you don't want to run something from the console. Sometimes you want to run something directly. That's where this second version of the run comes in with the square brackets. So for example, maybe I wanted to run a different shell other than bin/sh. So I run square brackets bin/bash for a bash shell. And then I can start passing in, okay, there's -c for make it go away. And then here's the next command, echo hello. So it's going to echo hello and close out. So now I didn't get this default of bin/sh. Instead, I called my own executable, which is just a bit different, the bin/bash. But maybe you have your own executable you've built that's on this image, and you want to run it with a couple of parameters, and then it does its thing and returns. You could do that. And pass in the parameters, or you can do something very similar to what they're doing here and use the square brackets, and the first item then becomes the executable, or the thing to actually execute, and the rest, comma delimited, become the parameters. Just make sure you use double quotes, and that's because the exact form is parsed as a JSON array, which means you have to use double quotes, not single quotes. Also note down here is another thing to point out, and that is that when you're dealing with Windows paths, if you do a run, this will not work. And the reason why is because this is an escape character, the backslash. So you have to escape it itself, which means double slashes. So C:/Windows /System32. So just note that as well. Okay, those are the big things with the run command. I think that covers the majority. There is some talk about a no cache here you might want to look at, but that's it's rarely used in my opinion, at least at your level. At some point you'll use it for sure, but not often. Okay, so that's the run command. So once you've kind of assimilated this, go ahead and come on back to the next video where we tackle yet another command for the Docker file.